Welcome in, guys. Welcome back to our Wednesday webinar. Excited to be here with you guys. We are live from the studio in Cincinnati. We got Ron here. We've been scrambling last moment because this is the first time we're doing it live like this, but setup's working. Excited to be here, guys. Welcome back to our Wednesday webinar.
Yep. Happy to be here. Guess a lot of work has gone into getting this all set up, so excited to get this rolling.
It's the first of many.
First of many. Today we're talking about our biggest land flipping mistakes. I think as quote unquote educated, whatever you want to say in this space, people I think talking about mistakes because Dan, there's so many ways to learn from these mistakes that we're going to be talking about today. And I think so many people, whether they're just getting started, they're 3 months in, they're a year in, I think they can learn from these mistakes we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and what we're doing, we're talking about one actual deal mistake that we made, and then 2 business mistakes.
2 more business. Yeah, like just things that cost us money. When I look at a mistake, it's something that cost us money in one way or another. So one's going to be a specific deal that we talk about, and then the other 2 are going to be more business-like things. But excited to be here. Question of the day. I know you guys can't see it very well on that screen. Question of the day is, what is your biggest mistake in land flipping or entrepreneurship in general? I know some people are entrepreneurs. They've done huge things in entrepreneurship. They're coming to land flipping for the first time.
Right.
What's your biggest mistake in entrepreneurship? If that's you, if you've been in land flipping a while, what's your biggest land flipping mistake?
And it could be a deal. It could be a bad deal that you bought or didn't make as much money as you wanted, or it could be a business strategy or a move that you did that you regret, or whatever it is. Just any mistake that you guys made. Question of the day is, what is your biggest mistake in land flipping or entrepreneurship? Excited to get in it, guys. Welcome Stephanie Long, Green Thumb of Oz, Scott Darby, as always, Brandon Mitchell, welcome in, Kay Walker, Ryan, Steven, Adam, as always. Excited to get here, guys. We're going to have a good YouTube here.
You and Anthony had a huge one last week.
Biggest ever last week, yeah. Me and Anthony. Ron was MIA, but we had a good one, and we're excited to make this a good one, too. It's our biggest mistakes that we've made in land investing. We're going to dive deep into these topics. Like we said, one's going to be on a deal, and we're going to dive into that deal. And then 2 more like business mistakes that we made in our land flipping. So if you guys are considering land investing or actually doing it right now, and this is your business model, both sides can get value. So excited to be here, guys.
Exactly. Ben, you want to get that share screen up so they can see a little better as far as they can see that information when we'll get started here in a second. But again, biggest, what are some answers we're getting so far, Dan?
Let's see. So I love the camera setup, Claire said. Thanks, Claire. Gregory said, not starting sooner. That's a good one. I mean, pulling the trigger, action's always the enemy. Education and action go side by side, and I think you do them both together. You never want to just do education and then come in and say, oh, I'll get it in 6 months, get it in 3 months. It's like you do them side by side. You learn as you go. You educate yourself for a week if you need, or 2 weeks, but that is a big mistake a lot of people make. It's just
100%.
Sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, some people never get started. Some people who aren't in here today who should have got, that's a huge mistake, and they never knew it was a mistake. A lot of things that are mistakes, you don't even know it's a mistake, honestly, because some people never got into land flipping, or maybe they saw it 7 years ago or something, and they never took any steps. But Greg, you definitely got started in your role, and it's Wilkins, right?
Yep, I think that was Greg Wilkins, exactly. And then not starting before every house flip guru is now land flipping guru, or app keys accepted.
Huh?
He
Accepted with an A or an E?
E.
With an E. What does that mean?
I don't know. Someone clarify. That was from Carp. So welcome in, guys.
It's far from everyone over here. There's still a ton of house flipping people. I think that's one of the things we talked about as far as it's an outside. There's more people in land flipping than there were 24 months ago, but it's nothing like that.
Exactly. And guys, get your answers in there. Question of the day: what is your biggest land flipping mistake or entrepreneurship mistake? But we're gonna hop right in it, guys. We got 120 people live watching right now, so let's provide some value. Ask your questions, get your answers in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat. Ron's going to be going through the presentation, so we're going to stop, and we want this to be interactive. So get your guys' comments, questions in.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go, like I said, we're going to have 2 business-type things with our land flipping business, and then one of them is going to be an actual deal, getting into nitty-gritty on a deal, which I think is going to be beneficial as well. Mistake number 1, Dan, and this is a broad one. I know you can touch base more on it, is funding in general, how we structured who was funding our deals, which for the first 18 months, it was just us.
Yeah.
And what this caused, we were reinvesting all of our profit in our deals. And what this caused was a big tax bill and it's really, really difficult to realize gains. We did not focus on funding relationships at all.
Yeah, on paper, we're making millions. And then we're, in our bank account, we're like, where the hell is our money? And our money was scattered across the United States. And we still put a lot of our own capital into deals, but you can make a ton of business and just keep plowing it into inventory, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Land is our inventory. That's how we buy, that's how we make money, and that's the economy of the business model. So if you keep buying parcels and you sell parcels, and then you have $100,000, and then you buy 2 more with that, and then you have 200,000, and then you're just buying more deals, and you're just recycling it, and it's healthy from a business perspective.
There's no cash flow.
But there's no cash flow, and don't you want to see your money? Isn't that why we're all here?
Yep.
And that was a huge mistake. I talked about that with Pete Reese today live. I was on Pete Reese's podcast today, and he was asking about some of the biggest mistakes.
Oh, really?
And that's what, we talked deeply about this. He's like, you want to see your money. That's why we're here, and that's why you utilize funding, so everything that comes in is profit, and you can actually keep that and put it to other things.
And the great thing is you can give such good money and good terms to your funders. Not saying you need to, but to build reputation, to build a funders list, like you can give them extremely favorable terms where you still make a ton of money. But it sounds weird, Dan, because me and you went back and forth on it, I think, the first year or so. It sounds weird because like we were technically making more money, but we didn't see anything. Like you buy for $100,000, you sell for $200,000. We made $100,000 on paper, but we put that money right back into another deal or two, whatever it is, that $200,000, and we don't see it. Versus you get that funded out, and all that cash is yours, and you're still going to make money on the next deal.
Still make a lot of money.
It's just you're going to pay off your funder a little bit.
Right, and then and what we always teach is diversity of where your funding's coming from. So you want some to be your own cash, and you can cherry pick those deals that you know are going to sell quick, deals that are tremendous profit margins, buy for 10,000, sell for 40, just low risk deals, and you can cherry pick them, keep those for funding yourself, and then all the other deals you can get traditional funding. We did a whole funding webinar on raising money outside of land in general, and you can get hard money type of loans where you don't have monthly paybacks, but you pay when the property sells, and you can put a mortgage on the property, or you can do traditional funding as well. And our conclusion of that YouTube live that we did on that was to diversify and do a little bit of each.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's I'd be interested to see your guys' thoughts, who's in the YouTube, everything like that. Like, what are your thoughts on this idea? Because some people, it's like I have $50,000 in the bank, I have a $30,000 deal. Like, why not pay for it with my own money? And it took me a while for that mindset shift, and it's really important if you're actually trying to build a business. I think it's really important. It's kind of like building equity when you just kind of put it into the next deal. It's almost like a bunch of 1031s versus actually building a business.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest, you just look at some of the biggest companies, everyone's leveraging debt. It's not like debt's bad if you're using it, if you know you have $100,000 of equity and you can take a 10-15% loan or a zero risk profit split deal, you have to do that. That's what big corporations, that's how you grow. Eventually, even if you have a ton of money, you're going to run out of money. And that's why you have to leverage that as well. But that's a huge, huge mistake that we've made in the past.
Let's get to number 2. And number 2 is going to be about the deal. And this is, I believe, our only deal we've ever technically lost money on. But number 2 is we lost money on a deal, and we'll talk more about this. But I wanted to kind of get into the numbers about what this looked like, Dan. And do we have any questions before we get on the second one? Any comments on the funding?
Someone, who was it? He said it got burned. Where did I see that? It got burned. Lent $5,000 without the proper documents and got burned. That was Merrick. Yeah, that's a big one. Lending money without proper
especially if you don't have a
documents.
relationship.
Not starting before. So I already read that one. A lot of people saying, just wish they would have started earlier, was in the program for 2 months before taking action, always have an account. Yeah, pretty good to go.
Yeah, so mistake number 2 is we lost money on a deal. It's nothing when we're trying to buy at 40% of market value, like we shouldn't be losing money on deals. And to break this down, and this is a very interesting and it's a very unique situation. We've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals. This is the only deal we've ever technically lost money on. So offer price, $48,000, $113.12. We knew, and you guys can see the property. I'll get it up on the land portal here in a minute. We knew that this property, we needed to negotiate down because it was far off the road. Physical access wasn't going to be as good. We negotiated this down to $30,000, and we bought it all in for $31,000. So we negotiated down $17,000. This deal could have ended way, way worse. We had a 15% funding partner. You want to talk about what that is as far as like the hard money?
Yeah. So what we did on this deal, we pretty much went to friends and family and said, hey, does anyone want to invest in this deal, pay 100% of the initial cost plus closing cost, and when this property sells, we'll give you 15%. If it goes past 8 months, then we're going to give you 15% at that 8-month mark and just pay them out, and then we'd own it in full, essentially. And you guys can do that. It's obviously there's risk there because if you can't pay them back after that 8 months, you can get foreclosed on and go through that whole process. So there is risk. It's hard money, and it's leveraging against the land, essentially, but you put a mortgage on the land for that ROI, set 15% ROI.
Exactly. So we initially went under contract to sell this property for $80,000. One of the big things with this or with the buyer is, and I'm gonna get into the, actually let's just talk about that real fast. So there's an issue in due diligence that made us literally like, we were freaking out, not freaking out, but it was like, we need to reduce this crazy. The first buyer backed out, and I'll talk more in detail in a second. And we ended up selling this property for $37,000 after we paid our funder back, after we had closing costs on the back end. We made $1,300. We initially were under contract to sell this for $80,000. So I'm sure everyone's kind of asking like, what happened?
Within a week, right?
We were very fast. We ended up holding this property for almost a year because all the issues we had. Everything was smooth on the buy side. Everything looked good. We had a realtor. We went under contract for $80,000
after buying for 31.
But let's get up this information. See if you can get that full screen, Ben. And I'll try to zoom in on this. So this is Land Portal. I think we have a link in the description. See how that looks, Dan. It actually still says, if you guys can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but it actually still says owned by Apke Investments, which is not the case anymore. But let's get into this.
Yeah, so now we're going over the specific deal that we lost money. The first one was more of a business strategy on using too much of our own cash, getting it tied up if you guys are just joining. This one is the actual deal we bought for 31. Originally went under contract for $80,000 within a week. And then we're kind of talking about the story here.
And this one, like, it's a mistake, but looking back, I don't know what we could have done better as far as, like, not letting this situation happen. So what happened, because you guys are probably wondering, like, you were under contract for $80,000. What happened is we had legal access determined when we bought this property. There was no survey, but the title company told us, like, okay, you have legal access on this, you're fine. The buyer during due diligence wanted a survey. They got a survey. We didn't think twice about it. Like, okay, get a survey. That's fine. We're going to make, we would have made $45,000 after everything.
Yeah.
And what happened is the survey determined that this property actually did not have access. So what we have now is a landlocked property, and you can actually see this in here in the land portal that it's deemed landlocked here. And now we have a property without legal access that we just need to try to get off our books, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. So the access for this property, and I know we're going to go into it, we had access. What'd you say?
I said share screen.
Oh, yeah, share screen on here. We had access coming to a point, essentially, and the title granted us access and said there's access. But then when we went to sell the property, it went to a whole nother title company, and then they did a survey, right? And then the survey came back and said the access came to a point, and they specifically got access to this property, but the surveyor or whoever wrote this up just did it incorrectly.
You see how beautiful the physical access is. Like, we were excited because, like, okay, this is a really nice physical access going here. When the survey happened, it showed that the property, and it stopped right here. The access stopped literally right here at this corner, and that's why we never had legal access to our property. And the initial buyer backed out. It wasn't like we negotiated with them. They just backed out, like, I'm not buying a property without access. And that's when we just had to get it off your books. And sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
We have another property right now that might be on a situation here in a few months when we're talking about that we're struggling as far as a similar situation, not the exact same. But Dan, talk a little bit about, like, with how many deals we're doing, like, it happens. Like,
yeah.
It just does.
Well, if you use the landlocked filter from the land portal, that wouldn't happen for us.
Yeah.
So that would have avoided that. But yeah, you guys do 1,000, 2,000 deals. You're going to have a small percentage of them that happen. And the good thing about this, Ron, if you go back to the slide, I think you're on it right now.
Yeah.
So the good thing about this, guys, we actually, and it's not a great thing, but we actually bought this property for $31,000 and we sold it for $37,000. So if you look at our price and our sell price, we made $6,000, right? But like we said, if we used hard money on that, if we used that 15, or if we used a profit split deal on that, we wouldn't have lost money.
Yeah.
If we used our own cash, we wouldn't have lost money, but we leveraged debt. And that's some of the risk of leveraging debt. As you see, we have a 15% loan. So what was our total loan? Funding $4,600 that we owed, and then closing cost, everything else. So we lost $1,363. But like I said, that's why you want to diversify. You want to spend some of your own money on your deals. You want to get some 15%. Unfortunately, this 15% one went south, and we lost a little bit of money because the debt. The land itself, we sold for more than what we bought still.
And we're kind of overlooking the point that we negotiated down $18,113.12. We got them down to $30,000 before closing cost.
Yeah.
So like this could have ended way, way worse. But we knew this deal had some risk with the access. We always thought it was legal access. We wouldn't have bought this deal without legal access.
Right.
But that negotiation was really, really important.
When your risk is higher and your margins get a little bit tighter, you guys have to get comfortable with negotiating down. Like sales, that we would have got burned if we tried to push this through with that type of.
Yeah, we would have lost $15,000.
We would have lost $15,000 instead of $1,300, and that's just we knew there was risk going with it. We got our hopes up when we got it under contract for 80. We're like, wow, what a good deal, and then all things kind of went south from there. But we've done thousands of deals, and like we said, it's kind of a numbers game, and we learned from this also.
Let's get on number 3. Any questions before we keep going, Dan?
Let's get some questions in. Someone said, why doesn't the land portal move like that for me? Message me in Discord, Diego, if you're in there. I'll look for that.
This was, so with the land portal recently, I'll show you guys that real fast, and this is really cool. So a lot of people have asked about like saved maps on the land portal. That link right here was actually from a saved map. So if I go in here, you can see what I saved it with, I think. Maybe not. I'll just do it on a new one. But anytime you go to any parcel, here's a different parcel on a different one. Mm-hmm. This is a copyable link. So if I go to Google Slide and just copy this link up here or let's just do this and let's hyperlink lost. So I'm going to hyperlink this so you guys can see, hit apply. I'm going to close both of these. Mm-hmm. And you can see now that this link is going to automatically pull up the parcel that
you can add it to your CRM, your Google Docs, your
I'm
whatever.
I'm going to make some videos on that very soon because I know a lot of people are very interested in that. And it's going to, like, that's one thing. A lot of people like, why are they using ID.land? The app maybe, which we don't have an app at the moment. But the other thing is like being able to use it with your CRM, which you can now do with this.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was one of the big missing pieces we recently filled. So, and I don't want to brush over the fact too, like, the way we're marketing now and the way people are marketing now, people are excluding landlocked properties. So this deal, like, it would have been avoided.
100%. Yeah, I mean, this deal would have been, you guys can see in the filter here. So with the land portal, there should be a link in the description, Dan. Can you check?
Yeah, I'm looking now. Yep, free 14-day
Yeah, so 14-day free trial in the description. But with the land portal, you can see right here that this property was deemed landlocked. And anytime you filter out, you can filter a full county. You have landlocked on yes, or I'm sorry, landlocked no. That means it's not going to be landlocked. You're going to only get properties that are on the road.
Yeah, and going back to step 1, I'm just curious, guys, where we stand with before we move forward to the number 3. How many of you guys have either gotten, have you guys raised money for a business or real estate outside, you know? Because people come in, they're like, how do I spend $25,000 on a deal? You don't buy it yourselves. You get risk-free profit split type of traditional funding, right? Or you get hard money loans like we talked about. But I'm just curious, who's raised money in any capacity? Let us know in the comments if you guys have raised money for any business or real estate in general in some fashion, whether it's flipping land or a house or structures.
I like that. All right. Ready for number 3?
Yep, let's go to it.
Number 3, and I think this is I think everyone runs into this at some point, Dan, is marketing consistency. I mean, really inconsistency is what we're talking about. And it's like almost like the way you look at not marketing consistently, it's like if you're a salesperson, you're not making sales calls. Like if you're an outbound salesperson, you're not making sales calls consistently, your money is going to stop. Like you're going to have inconsistent cash flow. And that's the biggest thing we noticed. And we probably had, this is way back year 1 again. A lot of our mistakes were year 1. A lot of your mistakes are going to be year 1. It was when we first started buying our first 3, 5, 7, 10 deals.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, crap, we're really, really busy. And then sometimes that marketing can just fall off.
Exactly. And the one thing I want to mention is this correlates to number 1 because you tie your
number 1 funding
because you tie your money up. I have $25,000. I came in the business with $25,000. I had a $22,000 purchase, and I forced that and I bought it because I know that I can sell for $45,000. It's gonna sell for $45,000. You're gonna make $20,000, but that might take 3, 4, 5 months to get your money back, right? So, what do you do if you can't market those 3, 4, 5 months? You only have $3,000 left, right? You can't send mail now as much, and it ties you up and makes you tight and gets you scared. You get scared. Whether if you got funding for that. and you make 45, now you're going to make, instead of 20 something grand, you'll make 15 to 18 depending on when you sell it, but you'll have all your cash. You'll still have that $22,000.
Marketing, yeah, exactly. Marketing inconsistency can be, like Dan's talking about, it can be because you don't have money for marketing anymore because you put it into a deal or you're putting in something else, where it can also be, it can just be you got busy or you got lazy, whatever the situation is. So there's two types of things, but being consistent in marketing, this business isn't the most predictable as far as like cash flow. It's just not. But being consistent in marketing allows you to predict it as good as possible. Like
100%.
If you're not consistent in marketing, it can be so inconsistent as far as the money you have coming in.
Yeah. And Manny asked about, so the land portal is not 100% accurate based on your deal you got stuck with as landlocked. That deal was from over a year ago, before the land portal was even existed with that landlocked
deal
feature.
We bought in 2021, sold in 2022.
Yeah. So that's an old deal. And that we haven't lost any money in any deal since then?
Not that I'm aware of.
Wow.
Which I would be aware of it if we lost money on a deal.
That's good odds.
Yeah, we don't lose money on deals much. That's why it's a mistake from 2 years ago. Get that share screen up real fast, Ben. And I want to talk real quick about mailers and like how we were sending when I first noticed this mistake happening. It can be amplified so much. Every 10,000 mailers for us costs about $6,500, $6,200, whatever it is, for a mailer. That is anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 of profit. So if you miss a month of mail and you're sending 10,000, like you are going to lose $50,000 to $70,000, and that's just at the end of the day. Like that money is there in the pipeline if you send the mail.
It's deal flow. You need the pipeline to continue to fill.
Marketing flow is deal flow.
You don't make money in this business without acquisitions. If your acquisition pipeline stops, you're dead. We
talked about it on the podcast the other day. Like real estate in general, you make money when you buy a property.
100%. You're buying into equity, and you know you're going to sell it for a certain price.
Whether it's anything. House, anything, any type of real estate, deals are made on the buy price. If you're buying a business, it doesn't matter.
And that's what we said, 90% of your energy, 99 when you're starting, percent of your time and efforts need to go to acquiring, whether you're on the phone with sellers, cold call, sending text, getting your text ready, getting your county selection in your marketing sheet 3 months ahead. Everything needs to be around acquiring properties. So you get ahead. And that's why I'm so big on marketing schedule, because you create a marketing schedule for 4 months out, 5 months out. You have all your counties, your zip codes, wherever you're mailing. You have the amount of data that's going to be sent. You have everything lined up. And then you just got to hold yourself accountable. And we put you in accountability groups and things like that. You got to share those with people so you're holding yourself accountable. If you can't stick to that, like that's everything.
So, guys, ask us questions about these 3 mistakes. I want to add one more thing, Dan, or ask you one question because I think it's important. Like, it sounds good, like, okay, always send 5,000 mailers every 2 weeks, whatever it is, every month, send 5,000 mailers. Like, if you're doing this solo, you have a job, like you get too busy on this, like, what should they be doing? Like, are they trying to quit their job? Some people, like, the real answer is quit your damn job. You know what I mean? Like, some people's answer who, like, are stressed about, like, not being busy, they're making shit ton of money in land investing. And some people who are asking this question, like, it's quit your job. Take this on full time and you'll make more money. Other people who might not have time or might not be in the spot to quit their job yet, like, what are you telling them if they don't have time to be consistent with mail?
And they're working, they have families.
Yeah, sending 5,000 mailers a month, and then they have 3 deals they're buying, they have 3 they're selling, and then like that's when it starts really piling up, is when you have all aspects of your business going. Yeah. It becomes a lot. Is it outsourcing? Yeah. I think outsourcing is my answer.
Well, we had a podcast on how many hours you need, and to do that and keep that, you need at least 10 hours a month at that scale if you're buying and selling 3 and continue that pipeline. So 5's the absolute minimum amount of hours that you need, I think. 10's probably more realistic. 10 hours or so a month minimum I think you need to be spending to do that. But if you can't do that, you got to free up your schedule somehow to be able to do that, or outsource. Like, there's no reason you can't spend an hour or two every couple of days on a business. I mean, if you're completely swamped, I understand, but you got to make the time, or you got to put that time into outsourcing for the. And we had just had an outsourcing podcast, and hire a VA and have them do your scrubbing and pooling your mail and getting everything. So you just need to go in and price your mail, or you need to go in and just call these people back once a day for 20 minutes and try to get some things under contract. It's very doable. This business is very scalable. You do not need a lot of man hours to run a high 7-figure business.
100%. And I think I hear a lot, like, people say, like, I don't want to manage people. I don't want to do, like, then you just have a ceiling. And we talked about that in the episode. I think that might be coming out tomorrow, Dan.
Yeah.
Is you just have a ceiling with that. Let's get to some questions, and I know there's probably some questions in there. I want to get to them before.
Is there a benefit to calling persons that you sent a mailer but got no response? This is different than cold calling. Does this improve your yield?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a follow-up, like we do follow-up text, follow-up texts are very, very efficient. If it's someone who didn't, I mean, you send 10,000 pieces of mail, you're going to have, I don't know, 9,000 plus people who don't call you back for sure. So it's not realistic.
They didn't see your mailer most of the time.
Yeah, some people didn't see them, but a second point of contact in sales is good.
Yes, more. What we're finding, Howard, is sending. So cold calling people after you sent mail. Yeah. So what we're finding, Howard, is cold calling people after you sent mail works much, much better than just cold calling or just mailing because they work together. But a lot of times, if those people did see you, that's your second point of contact. They're gonna be like, "Oh, AppKey Land. They contacted me 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna answer and talk to them because it's a second point. They're more likely. You're building a little trust by hitting them multiple times. Other people, they didn't see that piece of mail. It was junk mail to them. They tore it up and threw it in the trash, or they didn't open it, or whatever happened with USPS, and it just didn't get to their hands. They're like, oh, okay, and then they're interested. So multiple touch points is always, always the best. Some people are good at answering the phone. Some people are good at reading their mail. You're going to hit different people at different times.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously, if you guys have listened to us for any time, like we're obviously huge on direct mail. It's extremely efficient. It weeds out a ton of people and BS conversations that you don't need to have. But at the same time, like these follow-up texts, these people who are doing cold calling, whether they're outsourcing or do it in-house, are killing it right now, Dan.
Yeah, and Adam said there's always a benefit to trying to follow up on your mailing. It's another contact prior to generate that lead.
Yeah, like you're going to make your marketing efforts more efficient.
Exactly. And it's like some industries you go in and these people are, 8 times a year they're hitting these. Like you talk roofers, you talk about those high marketing roofers, they're going to show up on your Google ads. They're going to hit you with mail. They might even knock on your door if they see some shingles falling off. They're constantly like the big roofing companies and contractors around the cities are in your face with that stuff.
Those
sending you satellite video images of your roof type,
There's so many more ways. And like, I think it's been historically, like with land investing, it's like, okay, one contact, you get a deal, you make $30,000, $40,000, $20,000. And I think expanding and continuing to learn different marketing efforts can't hurt.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any other questions, Ron. So the portal, we got to that. Not many. What technology does the land portal use to filter landlocked? A combination of things for land. There's a road frontage filter, which you can target specific road frontage. And that's just that's a formula to calculate the because the census.gov and a bunch of other places have this data that we can purchase from them, and we've bought a lot of data and work with third-party companies. So there's not a straightforward answer. There's government data combined with AI, combined with some other stuff.
It's a lot of AI stuff.
It's a lot of AI stuff. Yeah.
I mean, that took a long time to build, and it's extremely accurate. Like when Dan was working with the development team on this, like I was like, okay, I'll see when it happens. And like the accuracy from the start of it. And again, like when you talk about marketing efficiency, Dan, you being able to filter out landlocked properties, it's 65 cents per mailer. So you're saving a ton of money on that. There's probably some states, there's 20-30% of properties are landlocked.
Half of our leads that come in are bad properties that we could filter out now.
There's a way to only send good. Like we can filter out wetlands properties. You can filter out floodplain properties. You can filter out landlocked properties. Like we are trying to make, with this software in general, we are trying to make it land specific and make you more efficient with your marketing.
And that's what it's all about. We have things coming out with the contour line, with AI analyzing the slope and all of that. We're not stopping here, but where it's at now, if you guys aren't using it, you guys are spending, you're spending too much time on your leads, on bad leads, and you're spending too much money on your leads, whether you're sending mail, texting. It's time and money. It's just overall efficiency. And we built that to help you create a more efficient business. But if you guys are getting value from this, don't forget, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're here every single Wednesday at 5:30. We really appreciate that.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, we appreciate it. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. If you guys have any suggestions for topics in the future, please let us know. Like, this is how we come up with these topics, Dan. It's what you guys suggest. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for joining, guys.